All right. Well, I am here with three Landstar owner-operators, Michele Bell,
Hello.
Angie Taylor,
Yes.
and Karen Thomas.
Hello.
How are each of you guys doing? Are you excited to have this powwow?
Yeah.
Of course.
Of course.
All right. Well, I always start with the same question. So, and this will be an easy way for people listening to get familiar with your voice as well. Everybody's journey to the world of transportation is completely different. What made you decide to become a professional truck driver? Michele, we'll start with you.
Well, I started back in 2006. So before I became a driver, I was working in accounting. I was managing a small office as an accountant. And during that time, my boyfriend at the time, he was about 5 years in. And I would tag along with him during my vacation time and whatnot. And I fell in love with it. So in 2006, I decided, you know what? I work well independently anyways, and I thought, why not do it? So that's what I did. I learned to float gears and just hit the road. And pretty much that's my journey. And you guys have my resume, so I don't need to go into the I don't need to go into every single aspect of what companies I work for and whatnot.
No, no, no.
I really loved when I started, I had no idea how to, switch gears and change gears and whatnot. I had no idea about trekking, but I fell in love with it, and I guess it was just some sort of talent or a gift, I guess. But like I said, I really enjoyed the fact that I was able to work independently, and I do love driving. I guess it worked out well for me since then.
Excellent. Angie, how about you?
Okay, so I worked at a production plant for like 11 years and it happened to close down. And I decided at first I thought I wanted to be a nurse. But when I went to nursing school, I figured out then I didn't like to sit still. Then my dad, he was a truck driver, and for years I thought that I would team with him, but he ended up getting sick, so medically he wasn't able anymore. So I was like, when the plant closed, I was like, okay, I can't sit still, so what am I gonna do? So I went to truck driving school, and that was in 2007, and 14 years later, here I am. I went through breast cancer treatments. I'm a survivor in 2019, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna wait 2 years to be on operator. But then I decided a couple months later, hey, I'm working anyway. Let me go for it. And 3 or 4 months after that, here I am here at Landstar, happy as ever.
Well, congratulations on that. That's wonderful news.
Thank you.
And I got to add, you couldn't sit still, but you turned to truck driving. I mean, I feel like there's some sitting still.
Well, you sit still, but you gotta move at the same time. Your head is constantly moving, but it's like sitting in a classroom atmosphere. The teacher was teaching, and in my mind, all I heard was blah 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 blah. So I was like, "This is not the right place for me."
Understood. Understood. All right, Karen, what about you?
I started driving in 1996 because a man said I couldn't do it. Told me I was too much of a prima donna. So I've been driving since 96 and I've been with Landstar for 3 years. But before that, I worked in the medical field and I still teach. So when I'm at home, if my son needs me to fill in at the college, well, I teach for him.
Awesome.
Wow.
So it's in the medical field from the time I was 14.
And you did make sure to tell the person that told you couldn't do it that you're doing it.
Oh, yeah. We know it. Not only that, but he knows that I have my own truck. So
Great.
he just said, I don't see you succeeding. I said, okay, you don't know me as well as I know myself. So,
I love it. Well, since you guys are all still doing it, I assume you all still love it.
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
Excellent. Well, here's one thing I kind of want to elaborate on. It's one thing to drive a truck for a company, but you're each independent owner operators. You own your own truck. Being an owner operator, as you know, is even more of a challenge. Why did you decide to become an entrepreneur?
I like the freedom of being able to do what I want to do and not somebody hanging over my head telling me I can do this or I can't do this.
I'm sensing a pattern.
Of course. We're female truckers. Of course there's a pattern.
What about you, Michele?
Well, when I came in, I'll be honest with you, when I first came in 2006, I went straight to my own authority because I had a very hard time. My husband could verify this. I had a very difficult time, even as a team, trying to get on with any company. No one wanted to touch me, and or even take a chance. So I decided, and I've made a lot of mistakes having my own truck and whatnot. But I became an owner operator after realizing that I did not fit in as a company driver. I couldn't do it. Just like Karen said, the freedom of having your own, being able to, not have that forced dispatching, just having your truck as your own. It's different when you drive a company truck versus your own truck. And of course, people will say money and whatnot, but I think it's just the freedom of having your own truck and knowing that that's yours and you make the rules, right?
Same for you, Angie?
So with me, I think it was more of a challenge because I never had any interaction with a female owner operator. So I was like, hey, I can do this. I had good people around me. I have lots of friends that are on ops. Of course, they're guys. But they gave me the push that I needed to get on out there. Because in my mind, I was gonna work, be a company driver for 2 years post cancer treatment. But I was like, the time is now. And plus, I was in a team truck with another female, and we all know how that works out.
What? I don't. Tell me. Tell me how that works. I don't know.
Fantasies. I'm kidding.
With me, I'm really laid back. With her, it was completely different. I was like, oh my goodness, if you just let me get out of this truck, like I promise you I'll be fine. So yeah, it was a challenge being I teamed with the guy once before and it was awesome. He did his work, I did mine. But two females, we clash pretty often. So thank goodness it didn't last long. So it's more of the freedom and the challenge of being a female owner operator is what, and plus I love to drive too. So that's what really got me into the business.
And now you've been doing it. What's it like to be your own boss and run your business with Landstar?
It's been at first a challenge, but being with Landstar, I feel like it made it a lot easier because they give you, all the tools that you need to succeed. It's just all in what you choose to do with the tools that they give you. And it's, to me, having my own authority has never been appealing to me at the moment, but I feel like they give you everything that you need to succeed here, and you just have to have the right mindset. So I knew when before I even got my truck, when I decided I wanted to be on Landstar has always been my first choice.
Landstar is amazing. I have a good support team. One of my best friends has been with Landstar and is a million-mile driver at Landstar, and he was my push. He kept saying, "You need to get your own truck and bring it to Landstar." And I was like, "But I'm scared." So I started with a fleet owner, and then 4 months I was able to buy my own truck. But Landstar and him pushing me constantly is what has made me successful here. Plus, Landstar, if you don't make money, look in the mirror.
Exactly.
I agree.
All right. Shots fired.
I mean, it's real simple. If you're not making money at Landstar, what are you doing that you're not making money? Go look in the mirror. It's your fault. It's not Landstar's. It's not an agent's fault. It's your fault.
It's a choice,
It is.
It's absolutely true. Absolutely true. Michele, what about you? What's it like for you to be your own boss and run your business with Landstar?
What don't I love about Landstar? I love everything about Landstar. I mean, there's no forced dispatching. You're your own dispatcher. You can have one trucks, you can have a million trucks if you want to. For me, I've got my truck, I've got my two trailers, I have my dry van, and I just purchased the low pro step deck. And I'm
Oh,
in,
nice.
yeah, well, I do heavy haul, right? Like I'm on the,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I love. I love to be able, I remember when I first started driving, I wanted to do flatbed and I applied for a company and they told me straight up, you don't have the strength. You know what I mean? You don't have that power to do flatbed. And here I am years later with Landstar. And what do I haul? I haul oversized. I haul. One thing I love about Landstar is sky's the limit for anybody. You can go from hauling a dry van, a reefer, you can go as far as an RGN, which is where I'm heading. And I love LCAP. We've got great
Hey,
discounts.
thank you.
LCAP in the
What?
house. And the freedom to pick what you like, to choose your loads, right? Like, you don't have to again, that goes back to forced dispatching. You don't have someone telling you, hey, you got to go here and you got to do that. You
Mhm.
get on board, you get on the phone with the agents, and yeah, that's what I love. I love the variety. That's what I love, the variety of freight. And that's what makes me, what intrigues me, I guess. I just love the variety of freight. I can do whatever I want to do here at Landstar. I can pick a tarp load, or I could, not pick a tarp load. That's what I enjoy.
And can I ask you guys, and this is kind of open ended, so you can each answer, or one of you, however you want to do it. But in terms of the technology that Landstar offers, is there anything that really stands out to you that you use all the time? I mean, it's just something that really helped your business.
I use the load board. I don't use Landstar One.
Yeah, I use the load board. Like, I use all of them actually. Sometimes the loads differ from the load board, with the different apps. So I kind of use all of them. I like the fact that the load board is wide open in your mind. You can have, okay, I want to go here and find a load to go there. I like the fact that you're able to choose and off the load board. It's a really big tool for me.
Michele, you were talking about how you got into heavy haul. Now you're looking for RGN. So for all of you, what kind of opportunities have you found as independent Landstar owner operators? Have you found a certain niche that really works for you specifically?
I use a lot of the same agents, and I'm not afraid to unload my trailer. So that's how I've been the most successful, is because I've chosen to go ahead and unload my trailer.
What does that mean? Explain that to me, or for people that listening that might not understand what you mean.
I do a lot of cabinet loads, and I also do ice cream cones, and sometimes you have to unload it. But the
Mhm.
cabinet loads is what I tend to stick more to, because I know a lot of the customers that I go to, and I've made the most money by choosing to go ahead and unload my freight.
Because many drivers won't do that. They don't want to do that. They'd rather do
Right.
hands off.
Well, not only that, but I don't have a problem with going to the Northeast, and some people won't go to the Northeast. I'll go wherever the money's at.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Even in winter, because it's cold.
No,
Yes,
I was in Alaska.
yes.
I was in
no.
Alaska just recently.
You did Alaska this year?
I did
Awesome.
Alaska the end of like during the ending of last year. I was in Alaska, and I'm looking for more loads heading out to Alaska. I absolutely loved it. It was the best experience ever, and I even got my plates on my truck now. It says Alaska. Very proud moment for me.
For real.
Can I ask you about that? I'm kind of curious because you always hear about people taking loads to Alaska. What's the difference in terms of, I mean, obviously the weather, there's snow, but in terms of trying to get through, winding through the mountains, I mean, is it much more cumbersome to go there
It
or?
is. Well, you know what? I've driven, like, Western Canada. I've done a lot of mountain driving.
Mm-hmm.
It's very technical, and you have to make sure your truck is equipped for that sort of terrain and climate. It was a great experience. I went out to the Air Force Base in Anchorage to deliver some snowplows. It was great. I mean, the terrain it's pretty rough terrain. There's not much cellular service. There's not much amenities, but you have to be someone who's free spirited and someone who I would say experienced just in mountain driving, because it does take everything you've got, and you've got to plan your trip accordingly, because you don't have fuel every 50 miles or every 100 miles.
Right.
So, and if you don't have DEF, please stock up on DEF, because they don't like DEF in Alaska because it freezes. So you may not always find DEF at any truck stop or whatever truck stops are along the way, which Alaska has no truck stops, believe it or not, none. It's all little mom and pop shops or
Stations.
yeah, stations. That's it, pretty much.
I know that from LCAP. Yep.
Oh, okay. I have the Alaska plates on my truck, which I'm so proud of. And I get asked all the time, "Oh, are you from Alaska?" I want to say yes, but no, I'm not. It's a proud moment, and I feel like Landstar. I've seen so many BCO. Well, not many, but I've seen quite a few BCOs out in Alaska. So the scales out in Tok, Alaska, the officer Steve told me that you got to come back because we have quite a few Landstars that come in and out. So we're popular down that way in Tok, Alaska. We're no strangers.
And you just dropped a name check on Steve, Officer Steve.
Officer Steve, he was a veteran actually. He I don't know, Marines or Navy, I don't remember, but yeah, he served in the Vietnam War, I think. If I'm saying that correctly, I'm sorry, but yeah.
Oh, well, we thank him for his service. But I can tell you the difference. I was Navy. We gave him a ride if he was Marines.
I wanted to go to Alaska before I bought my truck I have now, but my wheelbase is too long now. So
What did you have, a stretch or?
I have a big sleeper truck.
Oh, you've got a big sleeper. Okay.
Yeah.
The
So
rules are a little different out that way.
I have no idea about going to Alaska. I don't have the slightest bit of wanting to go.
really,
You gotta go once. Just go once.
I think I'll go by boat.
Oh, that's the way to go. Yeah, take a cruise. There you go.
I don't have any desire at all to go to Alaska.
Really?
Not at all.
What's your favorite part of the country, Angie?
Me, with me being from the South, Florida is my favorite state. Florida and Texas are my two favorite states.
And we're hot.
Right. So, yeah, I'm one of those snowbirds that's probably not going to run into the bad weather while it's bad.
And Karen, you said you go anywhere, but where do you have a preference?
I used to stay out west quite a bit, but like I said, I follow the money, so I've been in the Northeast a lot. I don't particularly care for the Northeast, but and my favorite is Washington and Oregon because it's beautiful out there.
Oh,
Yeah.
Except
wow.
during the winter. Except during the winter. It's not pleasant going out there, especially Wyoming. I got stuck in that last storm in Wyoming. Yeah, it wasn't pleasant.
That can be pretty barren. So, how do you describe yourselves to people when they ask what you do for a living? How do you describe what you do?
Paid tourist.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I hadn't been far out of Texas before I started driving a truck. So my family didn't travel a lot. My grandparents did, but I traveled with them. But as far as being anywhere else, I'd only been to Mississippi and Kentucky, going up to Kentucky, but I hadn't been that far out of Texas. So it was an experience when I started driving. I didn't even know how to read a map. So
Oh,
it's like,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
okay,
Wow, that's a big change.
yes.
I always differentiate and I always say lady truck driver. I don't say female because back in the day, they associated lady truck drivers that look, a little more masculine. So with me, I always put the female twist on it because I'm gonna always have on my lip gloss and fingernail polish and all that stuff. And my truck is purple, blue with pink. So pink is for the breast cancer awareness. But I was a pink girl long before I started driving the truck. So
you're girly girl compared to me.
yeah, I'm very girly girl. Plus, I traveled all over. I'm what you call a military brat. My dad was in the military until I was 10 years old. So we traveled quite a bit and I'm kind of used to traveling, but I feel like I'm really, really an adult when I do it alone. Makes me feel really grown.
Michele, what about you?
I usually tell people it depends on who I'm talking to, like I'll say, well, I own and operate a small business. I travel for business, and if it's someone that I'm pretty cool with, like if I try to get a feel for the person, and if it's someone that I feel like I can talk to, I'll tell them like straight up, I'm a truck driver, and I'm a
Hmm.
superhero. I'm kidding. No, I'm proud of what I do. I'm proud. No, seriously, I'm proud of what I do. I mean, I've had people say, "Well, do you like the stigma of being a truck driver?" And I don't have a problem with it because every day, all day, I'm the boss behind my Peterbilt. So it doesn't matter. I enjoy what I do. I represent the star very well. I'm professional. That's pretty much it. Depends on who I'm talking to. But most times I just generally say I own and operate a small business. That's it.
Do you all find that the term truck driver or and even owner operator sometimes can be a little light on what the job actually entails?
Yes.
Yes.
How so?
Some people think that it's just as simple as sitting in a seat all day, and you really have to pay a lot of attention. You have to have a whole lot of adrenaline going. Your reaction time has to be really, really quick. So I think it's downplayed a lot by the fact that in their mind the stigma is all we do is sit there.
That's true.
That's exactly what I was going to say. We're not just steering wheel holders. We actually are. It's a very dangerous job, and it's not for everybody.
It's definitely not for everybody.
Kind of regretting that sitting still joke earlier now.
You're in trouble. You are in trouble, mister.
I am in trouble. All right. So if you could give others out there some advice about becoming a professional truck owner operator, what would it be, Karen?
Just go for it. Don't let somebody stop you and squash your dream. If that's a dream that you have, go for it. You can do whatever you put your mind to.
I would say definitely go for it. I would say live each day like it's your last and go just, what I'm saying? Don't let anybody get in your head and tell you what you can't do. Just jump out and go for it. That's what I would say.
I would say the same thing because I've been told many times I couldn't do it. And just because of the way I look, or, a lot of people have doubted what I can and can't do. And that's why I'm the boss because I don't really listen to what anybody else has to say. I get in my truck and it's an 18 speed and I hook to my low pro and I'm
She has me motivated. I want to go get a RGN now. I want to do heavy haul.
I don't think I could do that. I'm clumsy. I know I'm
I'm
clumsy.
clumsy, but I think I could do it.
No, you can't. You know what it is? It takes a lot of strength and a lot of it's just whatever you put your mind to, you can do. That's it. Because every day
Exactly.
I get out there and even from my fellow drivers, I've got fellow male drivers and people look at you and they think, well, how can, like they look down on you sometimes, right? That's just it because you're a female. But now I'm beyond all that. I know what I do and that's it. I don't have to. That's why I tell people all the time, stay offline. Do what you have to do in person. Don't listen to anyone else. Go for it.
That's awesome advice. I admire all three of you. I know how hard it is, and it's what you do is very difficult. And here's the question that we have: Road to Success podcast question. This is what we ask people
Uh-huh.
listening as well as you guys. What is the single biggest misconception about being an entrepreneur?
I would say the biggest misconception would probably be maybe that it's harder than what it really is. I would say it was an easy transition for me, but of course I had a good support system. But I think that the biggest misconception is it's really hard when it's really not if you have a plan.
Interesting.
I would say the biggest misconception would be, and I mean, everyone's different, right? Like, I can't
Sure.
speak for the other guy, but I would say the biggest thing about being an entrepreneur would be anyone coming in think they're going to be making millions of dollars. You're going to come in, you're going to make you're going to be a millionaire. You'll be sitting on a throne in no time. And that's the biggest misconception because if you don't enjoy what you do, you'll never be successful, period.
I totally agree.
That's just the bottom line. And a lot of people come into trucking and think, oh, yeah, it's the money, the money. It's not the money. You have to work for it. And you'll lose money. There are days when your truck may break down, and here goes $5,000 just like that. You know what I mean? So you have
Mhm.
to find some sort of passion in anything you do in life, because you'll never be successful. And that's the biggest misconception about being an entrepreneur, that you're going to be successful. And there'll be days where you'll be like, oh yeah, everything's going great, but it's not like that. You have to work. It's blood, sweat, and tears.
For sure.
Karen?
Come on, Karen.
The same thing that Angie says, and it's not like she said, it's not all about money. You got to love what you're doing.
Mhm.
And if you have to have the mindset that you're going to succeed, and I'm not sure what else to say, but
All right. And last question, and this is just meant to be kind of a fun question from me. Tell me your best memory, your favorite memory of being an owner operator. I mean, that's just something that really stands out to you as, that's been my favorite moment.
buying my big sleeper truck, even though I called her Money Pit, it was still, even
Oh,
though
wow.
I that was a dream I had, and I fulfilled it in a lot less time than I had thought I would. I had a goal of 5 years. It just goes to show you can set a goal, but if you've got to tell somebody that you set that goal, and you got to work towards it. I'm a very goal driven person. So getting my big sleeper truck was a major success for me.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Angie, what about you?
I think my proudest moment is actually becoming an owner operator barely 18 months out of cancer treatment, out of active cancer treatment. That's my biggest goal. I came back to work a little less than 10 months after the cancer treatment started. Actually, when I came back to work, it was only about 5 months after my last chemo treatment. So I think the biggest for me is doing it so soon after active cancer treatments. I'm just really proud that I was able and strong enough to make it through cancer treatments and become an owner operator so fast.
That's fantastic. And Michele?
I have quite a few, but if I had to break it down, would be I have to say two things. Two of them. I've got Alaska, which was a huge, huge moment for me. I don't think I could ever get over that. And just being able to move from, hauling a dry van to a triaxle low pro step deck. And I think the biggest moment will be when I get to an RGN with a flip. I think that's when I start doing true overtime will be probably the biggest, because I didn't think I would be this far. I never came in with the expectations of getting this far. And Landstar has made my dreams come true. And I am I don't represent many companies, and I've worked for quite a few. And but Landstar has done, especially for someone like me, Landstar has done Landstar's beyond my expectations. Yeah, that's it.
Well, thank you. Thank you, all three of you, for being here. I really, really appreciate it. I think everybody's going to love listening to your history and your stories and your advice. I think it's fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for the opportunity.
Thanks for being patient.
The opportunity, I was like, wow, how was I selected with all the female drivers that we
Me too.
have?
It was an honor. I was like, man, I only been here 7 months. Like, okay, this is cool.
All right. Well, I will let you guys go. I know Karen's got to go on vacation, and Angie's got to get her phone back, and Michelle's probably going to Alaska again.
Right. I definitely got to get my phone. My sister's a little nosy, so yeah, I got to get my phone back. But